All right, this is lecture number 2. This won't take long. We're almost done. We ended here with so again, keep moving along the process. If you keep moving along in the juvenile justice system, you have your adjudicatory hearing. This is where basically the judge makes judgment on you, fact finding, close to the public, entitled to the attorney, and then judge options either find you delinquent or non-delinquent. And our last thing would be your disposition. This would be your actual sentencing. So the judge would decide the sentence the juvenile should receive. Excuse me. So there's a lot of things that go into this, and judges typically with juveniles have a lot of leeway, whereas in the adult system, it's usually spelled out for you. Hey, if you do this, this is the potential punishment. There's a lot less leeway for judges in this regard, but in juveniles, they have a lot more flexibility depending on a case-by-case basis. So they used reports on probation department. They look at the juvenile's social, psychological, family, school background. So in theory, dispositions are supposed to provide individualized treatment to rehab the juvenile offender. In theory, does that always happen that way? Probably not. But typically, judges are supposed to, find the best case scenario and look at each case individually in juvenile cases to do what's best for that juvenile. Again, for one juvenile, it might be different for what's best from another. Depends on their home life. Depends on what services that can be offered to that juvenile in the juvenile justice system. So this is where a lot of the leeway comes into play here. And again, not only that, but also the judges are also in a tough spot because in practice, the courts also need to balance, the individual, what they did to make the community safe and protect the community from potential harm, but also kind of keep in mind about the individual and what's best for them as well. So typically, a lot of, the most common juvenile cases that most juvenile court judges here they give out in terms of punishment would be probation. That's the most common. But then you also have cases where you do have group home, or they could be under more supervision, especially when they lack the supervision at home. Or again, in the more severe cases, would be your jail time. So there's a little flow chart that I found that's kind of interesting here. Basically, what we just did. Kind of summing it down to a graphic organizer. So this is the first thing, taken into custody. This is your intake. From there, you could be released, or you could be referred to alternative programs. These types of things are, for petty things. And then obviously, if you get referred to your initial hearing, again, you have options. You would be referred to criminal court, or you could also go off this way, where you would have a diversion or services, your case could be dismissed, or you could be released into custody of parents until, obviously, you would have your adjudicatory hearing, or obviously, if you're referred to criminal court, you're detained, you would, again, be referred to this hearing here, and then after this, you'd either be found your case would be dismissed, or you're found not delinquent. If you're found not delinquent, then obviously you're done. Or if you were found delinquent, then you'd have your disposition hearing, where that would basically be your sentencing. Again, you'd be from there referred to. Judge would define, hey, you're going to be put in a juvenile justice institution, or you're going to get probation with conditions. So this kind of flow chart really kind of says it all. So it's a lot less basic. It's a lot more basic compared to the adult system, where you do have plea deals, you have grand juries, all these other types of things. You don't have that in this process. All right, so anyway, that is it. Make sure this is copied in your guided notes. And yeah, have a good one.